Does this count as sexual abuse? A virginity test? Not a pregnancy test? Dumb question maybe, but what the fuck is a virginity test? And do doctors really do this? More like childhood trauma. This isn't right at all, and I'm sorry you had to experience that. Yes, and I'm thinking there is likely a host of other things that went on lacking boundaries. Yeah, that was abusive. I'm sorry. It is sexual abuse, but unfortunately these types of medical procedures are technically illegal in most countries, including the US, with parental consent. Even though a virginity test is absolute pseudoscience and no competent doctor would give one. A broken hymen does not mean you aren't a virgin. And these tests have been proven to be nonsense for a while now. Your mother likely wasn't intentionally abusing you, but she definitely was not in her right mind. And was unfit to care for a child if she made those types of decisions. If this story is any indication, you likely experienced a lot of psychological abuse that your mother said was just strict, caring parenting. So you might have trouble getting a criminal court to rule it as sexual abuse. But with a good enough lawyer and other accounts of psychological abuse, you may be able to get a jury to side with you in civil court and say your mother traumatized you and psychologically abused you, if you're asking for that reason. But yes, by modern ethical and medical standards, that is sexual, psychological abuse on part of both the doctor who performed the virginity test and your mother for taking you to get one. The only scenario in which I might understand a sane and stable mother to reasonably freak out and get you one out of a misinformed panic is if she found out you had recently been alone with someone who she found out was a pedophile. The best case scenario for your mother is that she let a family member babysit you, or knew you were with a staff member at church or school, who she found out was sexually abusing children and then didn't tell you about it but freaked out that you may have been a victim and thought a virginity test was real and got you one in a horribly misinformed panic. But intentionally or not, virginity tests are pseudoscience and sexually abusive, and no self-respecting doctor who is actually qualified and educated should have given you one. This is absolutely abuse. The concept of virginity is something that is totally made up and used against young women and girls to prove our worth. Men don't magically change and shapeshift after having sex. But apparently people with vaginas do. There is no foolproof test of virginity with vagina havers. My hymen didn't break until I was 29 years old. This was after multiple sexual assaults in my early and mid-20s. Virginity tests are an absolute lie and fully child abuse. I fell while walking on folding chairs at church and got a slight rip that healed itself. But the whole women's class said that at 12 I was no longer a virgin because I fell on a chair. It is something so deeply ingrained in religion and the puritanical society surrounding it. You matter right now. You matter if you've had sex with 50 people. You matter if you've been a sex worker. You matter as someone that hasn't done any of the above. We deserve the right to our own bodies, and when to say no to things that make us uncomfortable. You, your body, your mind, and your spirit matter. Because whether you've had sex or not, regardless of number, does not change you as a person. It does not change your worth. I am so sorry your mom put you through that. Absolutely embarrassing and horrific. If you need someone to talk to, I am here. You are a wonderful and valid person. Don't let someone being shitty take that away from you. I know easier said than done. But I've got your back. Some people on this subface vomiting up. That was invasive and felt wrong. I am so sorry you went through it. I hope you have people in your life you can trust and talk to. Something similar, kinda, happened to me when I was 13. Almost 14. I hadn't gotten my period yet and my mom thought it was weird, was worried about it. So she took me to my pediatrician and asked him to check me out to make sure I was okay. He ended up doing a pelvic exam on me. What a gynecologist does, basically. And she told me ahead of time that I was going to get a pelvic exam. I didn't know what it was. I knew your pelvis was part of your skeleton, i.e., your hips. That's all I knew. The doctor also examined my breasts, including touching them. The whole thing was pretty upsetting. But I knew that the doctor was about as uncomfortable with the whole thing as I was. He was a pediatrician, not a gynecologist. And I also knew that my mom didn't mean any harm by it. She was just being uncharacteristically anxious. My point is, yeah, it sucks that it happened. But it doesn't have to be this totally traumatic thing if you don't want it to be. Talk to a therapist maybe. But remember that we all go through some stuff. Don't let it be a big deal and it won't be. Edit. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm minimizing what you experienced. I don't mean to. I just mean, as with everything in life, keep it in perspective. It's with reference to sex and your sexual organs, sexual. It made you uncomfortable for no good reason, which has had lasting serious effects on you, abuse. I wonder why she did it. Not necessarily sexual abuse, as it wasn't for sexual gratification. But medical abuse can leave severe sexual trauma even when it's not about sex. Unnecessarily invasive procedures, etc. This time it was about sex. So it's all the more likely to leave you with the issues you describe. I'm so sorry this happened to you. You can heal, but it may take time. I hope you have access to therapy. That can really help. Thank you for asking this question. I actually had a similar experience. A babysitter was convinced my dad was messing with me, which he was not. Not ever. So she took me to her gyno to see if there was any evidence of it, and same thing. Hymen check like with her in the room and all. I was maybe 7? The doctor was this really old man, like 50s or 60s. Uncomfortable doesn't come close. Definitely a highly traumatic experience for a 12-year-old. Your mom overreacted and that caused you to associate sex to something negative. I'm sorry you had to go through this. There are ways to healing this part of you and having a positive view when it comes to sex. It might be better to approach a therapist who is specialized in sex. This person can give you the resources to heal and find your way to telling yourself that you are human and that is totally normal to enjoy sex. I hope you find a way to heal and move forward. Yes, your mom is fucked up and so is that doctor. This is abuse. And this is sexual abuse. This was an incredibly unhealthy and controlling behavior from your mom, and this is not what love or care is about at all. Please listen to your feelings and pay attention to them, and please don't try to normalize the situation or rationalize your feelings. That level of control of a parent over a child and that intervention are not healthy. The evidence is in your feelings. You rightfully felt violated and are now wary of sex. The intentions of your mother don't matter. She let her fear guide her and hurt you. Please take good care of yourself. Listen to your emotions. Simply feeling them and accepting them will help you tremendously. They are the scars from this event and you can heal them. Anybody in this thread trying to downplay your experience knows pretty much nothing on trauma and abuse. A virginity test is not normal. I have no idea WTF that is. But it sounds like sexual assault. I'm sorry that happened to you. Definitely consider a sex therapist. They are professionals in helping your situation. If it feels like abuse, it was abuse. I'd say it does do. Violating your right to control what happens to your body is something I experienced a lot of growing up. I would definitely talk to someone about it. I'd say it counts. Why couldn't they just make you take a pregnancy test if she was so worried? She has serious issues surrounding purity. Like what they do in the Middle East.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.